This is basically a discussion about Akala Mrityu. What is Akala Mrityu? Untimely death. Okay. We will go into a little bit more into that, but let us see how much we can understand, right? So Vijaya's question is it that only those people who get very aged and die of old age, or probably sickness, but at a very old age, is it only those who have not encountered Akala Mrityu, untimely death? Is it that everybody else, whether they die in an accident or they die due to a natural calamity, okay, or sickness at a young age, does that mean that all of them have died Akala Mrityu, have encountered Akala Mrityu? That's her question. Okay, and then she follows up with another question saying that, see, but we know that the lifespan of people itself is different. It's not that everybody lives exactly for 100 years or anything like that, right? I mean, even people who get very old and then die of old age itself, some die at the age of 80 or 85, some live on until probably 110 years, 105 years. So there is no specific clear limit saying that this is the human lifespan, right? So she is asking us, how do we define Akala Mrityu? If that is not known, if the lifespan is not definite, then how do we define Akala Mrityu? Okay, now, I mean, there's no answer to this that we know about. See, what I'm saying is, only yogis will come to know whether a person's death is Akala Mrityu or destined death, normal death, okay? Timely death or whatever you want to say, the lifespan is over, that's why the person died, it is not an untimely death. So only yogis can say that because we don't have a means of determining what the person's lifespan could have been, right? If he did not pass away at that time. We know that the person has died. Now, how do we know whether the lifespan was over or he could have lived for longer but died an untimely death? He confronted an Akala Mrityu. How do we know that? There's no way of knowing that, to my knowledge, okay? Now, the only recourse we have is to the science of astrology. Okay, because even you must have come across a lot of people trying to say that, either by looking at the palm or looking at the chart, the birth chart or the planetary positions, they'll say you will have a long life or something like that, right? Now, there was a close devotee of Swamiji who lived at the ashram along with us. And he knew a good amount of astrology. Okay, he studied astrology. I think he was also practicing astrology, not for money, but just as a hobby. Okay, so when I discussed this subject with him, what he told me is that even astrology cannot predict death. I know you might be surprised, right? But what he clarified is astrology can predict a danger, saying that at such and such a time, when the planetary position is like this, you will confront a very bad time. You will be going through a very bad time. Okay? Whether the person will die during that bad time or continue to live, survive and continue to live even after that bad time, even astrology cannot say that. So normally what astrology does is, see, you have a ganda, meaning a danger, a dangerous time at the age of 59. And if you can survive, again there is another ganda at 65. And if you can survive that, there is another one at 74. Like that, they'll keep on giving you 4 or 5 gandas. Okay. But even astrology cannot say whether you will survive or die. Whether the person will survive or die, even astrology doesn't say. This is what that devotee told me. Okay. So again, I'm reiterating that only people with spiritual knowledge will be able to make out whether a death is Akala Mrityu or normal Mrityu. Sakala Mrityu, if I can call it that. Okay. Now, on the WhatsApp group SBY devotees, I shared the incident where a devotee in trance declared that my brother's death was a natural death. My younger brother Shivraj, he passed away in 2018. He was quite young. He was actually younger than me, right? He's my younger brother. He passed away at the age of 55. And I was very grieved, okay? And then I came to the Bangalore ashram. I'm actually repeating that, okay? So at the ashram, the next Sunday night, Ramesh was in trance. So then I went near Ramesh. I wanted to discuss that because I still had a lot of grief. I went to Hyderabad, completed the last rites of my brother, and then came back. And I was at the ashram that Sunday night, and I was waiting to discuss with Swamiji or with Shani Mahatma, whoever, right, about my brother's death, my younger brother's sudden death. I mean, he was ill for some time. He was diabetic for a very long time, and ultimately he passed away due to heart attack. Although he tried to maintain his health very well, he was doing his exercise, he was dieting, and he was keeping good health. Suddenly he passed away because of a heart attack. And then he left behind his wife and two daughters, both of whom were not married. One of them was still in the college, the younger one. Okay. So, I mean, it was a very sad state of affairs, right? And then all of us were grieving a lot. And then I came back to Bangalore, and then I was waiting to have a word with Swamiji or Shani Mahatma. Okay, and then when people left and I was left alone, I came close to him and I expected Ramesh in trance to be aware of my brother's death. And then I thought he's going to console me in some way or say something about my brother's death or something like that. But then to my surprise, he didn't say anything. And and that almost annoyed me. So then I sat down there and said, Swamiji, my younger brother has passed away. Rather than informing him about it, it was basically a question, how come are you not aware that my brother has died? Or something like that. See, because my younger brother was more attached to Swamiji than I was as a child. Okay. Although he got married and then he didn't spend so much time with Swamiji like me, as a child he was more attached to Swamiji. And he was a devotee of Swamiji. Then suddenly Ramesh in trance told me, his time is over, man. That's why he left. So why do you grieve for him? I mean, it was a simple sentence, but it had a very profound impact on me. I don't know how, right? I mean, see, this sentence could have been said by anybody else also. But when Swamiji said, somehow it gave me a kind of relief. It consoled me to such an extent that I stopped grieving after that. Okay, so it's not that, I mean, I'm trying to answer Vijaya's question. It's not that only when somebody reaches the age of 90, 95, or 100 only it is natural death. No. Even at 55, the death can be a natural, normal, timely death if their lifespan is over. Okay, so that is one of the answers. Now let us look at another angle. Okay, we know that a lot of soldiers die at a very young age, but fighting for the country. Okay, it's not an accident, it's not sickness or illness, it's not suicide. They get killed by the enemy soldiers in a war. So, what is that? Is that untimely death? I'm only raising a question and a, a discussion, that's all, right? Now, we have heard from our scriptures that a soldier who dies fighting in the war, he attains Veeraswarga. Okay, for the normal people like us, there is Swarga and Naraka. But for the warriors, the soldiers who fight in a war and die fighting in a war, they attain Viraswarga. Okay, actually, I mean, what we are told there is that irrespective of whether you are considered a bad man or a good man on this earth when you are living and fighting and okay in the war, after you die, both of them, both the enemies, right? They both attain Viraswarga. So there is a description of both the Pandavas and the Kauravas going to Viraswarga, not just the Pandavas. Okay. Now, again, the reason I am discussing this is so that do we consider that untimely death? I'll come to that a little bit more also. Swamiji used to tell us, at times that we should never surrender. Meaning, when we are in a fight, I mean, it need not be a war, it need not be on the battlefield, on the border between two countries and all that. In general, he would teach us and teach us again and again, don't be afraid of death. Okay? To the extent that even if you know that there is no chance of escape, okay, that you are definitely going to die, even then he would say, don't surrender. Fight until the death. You should die fighting, not surrender to the enemy. This is the training that Swamiji used to give us. Okay, and then, I mean, see, this is what he followed even as a child. When he was naughty, he used to pick up fights, right? But even then, I mean, his courage, it was such that he was never afraid of death. Otherwise, do you think he could have become a yogi? A person who is afraid of death, do you think he can become a yogi? How many times did Swamiji have to confront death? Serpent bites, starvation. Okay, even after that, he became a yogi and then he comes to Bangalore to work on the mission, the divine mission that was given to him by Lord Shiva. And even here he had enemies threatening to kill him. They actually came to the ashram to kill him. Okay. So only a person who is not afraid of death can become a yogi. People who are afraid of death, they shouldn't even think of becoming yogis. Okay. See, we are talking about the spiritual knowledge, right? Spiritual science. And what is death in that? It is just a stage, right? Like as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. The reason I am trying to bring it here is Swamiji told us, I'll tell you another story after that. Swamiji told us that Nagendra Swami, although she was murdered, she died fighting for her life. She did not surrender to that person. I think this was evident from what was actually seen at the murder scene after her murder. But I also believe that this is what Swamiji was telling us from what he must have seen in his dhyan meditation about his devotee. Okay? So if a person dies fighting, not surrendering, okay, not giving up, but fighting, then he attains Viraswarga. I mean, I wouldn't define that as Akala Mrityu or untimely death. The death of a soldier, see how much respect he gets? Because he's fighting for a cause. He died fighting for a cause. So the cause could be even just self-preservation, self-protection. Out of self-defense, you are fighting until the end. And that is still glorious. Please try to compare that with suicide, right? Where you give up, there is no enemy who is trying to kill you, but you kill yourself. Just imagine that and then compare that with what Swamiji has been telling us about not surrendering at all, even if the enemy is killing you, and you know for sure that there's no chance of escape and you're going to die. But you should die fighting. Okay, now this is the kind of training he gave us. And he told a story about this. I think the story is well known. It's there on the website, probably. It's there in our history. Prithviraj Chauhan. It is a story of the death of Prithviraj Chauhan. Muhammad Ghori was invading India. And the history tells us that he invaded India 17 times. But he was unsuccessful because Prithviraj Chauhan stopped him. Okay? And once Prithviraj Chauhan caught him, meaning Prithviraj Chauhan's army or Prithviraj Chauhan, whoever, they caught him and he became a prisoner of war. But because he begged for his life, Prithviraj Chauhan let him go. And that fellow, he went back and again he came back and attacked the Prithviraj Chauhan. Okay. Now see, in those days, the Indians primarily, they believed in something called Yuddha Dharma. I mean, there are a lot of things. I don't want to go into that. Uh, like, for example, you only fight during the day. You don't fight during the night. That was a basic rule that was followed. But even that rule, I think, was broken in Mahabharata. Two, you don't go and fight in a city or a village or where people are living or in fields or something like that. You choose a place which is deserted, nobody there, no fields, no property, nothing. And then both the armies gather there and then they fight against each other. Only the armies fight with each other. You don't go and kill people in the kingdom. That is against the dharma, Sanatana dharma. But everything changed after that. So this was what the Indians were following. So Prithviraj Chauhan was following that rule, and because Muhammad Ghori begged him for his life, he let him go. But that fellow was not from the Sanatana Dharma. So he came back again. He collected his army again and then he came back to fight with Prithviraj Chauhan. At that time, I think another Indian king deceived Prithviraj Chauhan. He went and told Muhammad Ghori about the secrets of Prithviraj Chauhan and how to capture him and how to defeat him. So Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated and captured in the war by Muhammad Ghori. I think this was the 18th time that Muhammad Ghori had come to invade Delhi, and this time he succeeded because of help that he received from another king, and Prithviraj Chauhan was arrested. And as a punishment, both the eyes of Prithviraj Chauhan were gouged out, it seems. Do you understand? I mean, just because he is an enemy king, the Indians won't do that. They respect even the enemy, right? I mean, I'm talking about the old days, the olden days, Sanatana Dharma. But Ghori was not following any of those rules. So he gouged out both the eyes of Prithviraj Chauhan, so he couldn't see anymore. But he had his minister. I mean, it's there, the name is there on the website. His minister was also along with him. So they were jailed. And I think he was taken over to his kingdom in Afghanistan somewhere. And this is the part of the story that Swamiji told me. What is it? It seems the minister and Prithviraj Chauhan, they were planning to kill Muhammad Ghori somehow or the other. Because now they have been deceived. See, a person who saved your life and you let go, who let you go, you come back and kill that person? I mean, you come back and fight with that person, wage a war, defeat him, arrest him and take him a prisoner? That's not the right thing to do. But Muhammad Ghori did that. So these two people now, they were planning to somehow kill Muhammad Ghori. And Swamiji told me that the minister and Prithviraj Chauhan, they came up with an idea. And then the minister, he started spreading the word around in the jail, okay, with the other jail inmates and then the guards and all that, that Prithviraj Chauhan knew an art in archery, a technique in archery which is called Shabdaveda, meaning shooting by sound. Okay, so you listen to the sound. I mean, you don't have your eyes, you cannot see the object, but the object is making a sound. Okay, either a living being or something is making a sound, and just by listening to the sound you can make out where exactly it is, and then you shoot it down with an arrow. This was the science that King Dasharatha also knew. That's how he hit the boy and killed him by, I mean, out of ignorance. He didn't know that it was a boy. He thought it was an animal drinking water at the pool, I mean, at the river, I think. And then he shot the arrow because he did not see the boy. Had he seen the boy, he wouldn't have killed him, right? He wouldn't have shot the arrow. He only listened to the sound of the water getting filled into the bowl. Bud, 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 that kind of sound comes, right? When you try to get water into a little vessel, only by the sound he hit the arrow and the boy died. Okay, so that is from Ramayana, Dasharatha's story. The same thing is also said about, I think, Arjuna or somebody. He also tried all these tricks, okay? Prithviraj Chauhan knew that art. So this minister, he slowly spread the word that my king, he knows this wonderful art and he can shoot by sound, Shabdaved. Okay, then he said it will be very good, it will be very entertaining if you can arrange for a demonstration where our king will shoot something. So probably you hang a bell and then you just sound the bell. You can tie a rope to that and then you just sound the bell. And you know that he cannot see. His eyes are gone, right? You gouged his eyes out. Give him a bow and an arrow and then he'll shoot the bell from so much of distance and all that. Okay, so slowly the word spread and then it reached Muhammad Ghori. So he said, oh, fine, that will be good entertainment. So let us have a demonstration of his skill. So you bring Prithviraj Chauhan and we'll arrange for a bell to be hung there in the court. Then so somebody can ring the bell and then this fellow can shoot down the bell with a bow and arrow that is given to him. So everything was arranged, the bell was arranged, and Prithviraj Chauhan and his minister were called to the court of Muhammad Ghori. Okay? Then Prithviraj Chauhan was made to stand there with a bow and arrow in his hand. Muhammad Ghori was sitting on his throne, high above. And then the bell was hung in front of Prithviraj Chauhan. And some soldier, he tied a thread to that and then he rang the bell. And it seems at that time, the minister told Prithviraj Chauhan in their native language, okay, saying that to your left, at such and such a distance from the bell, is Muhammad Ghori. Shoot him down. Okay, I mean, he didn't say shoot him down, but he just wanted to point out that wherever the bell is, so many yards to the left of the bell, and at such and such a height, is the king's head. That's all he said in the native language. Okay, and then, I mean, this story was also narrated to me by my Hindi master in school. Okay, same story was told to me by Swamiji. And then the Hindi master, our Hindi master, he showed me by action that Prithviraj Chauhan took the arrow, okay, aimed at the bell, and going by the calculation that was given, the estimation that was given by his minister, he moved the bow and arrow and then he shot down Muhammad Ghori. Muhammad Ghori couldn't do anything. The arrow came and hit him on the head, he died. Okay, and after that, Swamiji told me that Prithviraj Chauhan and his minister, they killed each other. Because committing suicide is a sin, a wrong thing to do. They killed each other and they both died to avoid further torture. Okay, so again to recollect, this is the story that Swamiji told me to say that right until the end you keep fighting. Don't give up, don't surrender. Okay, so I believe that this is the kind of death that Nagendra Swami faced. It's not just simple murder, where she surrendered out of fear and then she was killed. No, that was not how it happened, right? And then see, there is another way of trying to define what Akala Mrityu is. It's not a straightforward definition. What we know is that people who have encountered an untimely death, they become ghosts. Okay, so this is very well known. We know that specifically those who committed suicide or who die in accidents, and then mothers who die delivering the children, they also become ghosts. I mean, I know this from several incidents, the discussions that happened with Swamiji and all that, right? And then there are others who are so attached to their wealth, or probably to their house, or probably to their children, that they die but they cannot leave. Their astral bodies, they remain here and they wander around as ghosts. Okay? So, if that doesn't happen, I mean, see, the way I am looking at it is, if a person after death has not become a ghost, it means he has died a natural death. This is just one simple way we can make out. Right? So, I am trying to say that people who have died fighting, people who have died in a war, soldiers, they don't become ghosts. Although there is one story of a ghost who is still alive today, I mean, who is still surviving as a ghost, and the Indian army worships him as a god. Okay, on the border. He died in a war fighting for India, but they say even today he fights. He appears to soldiers there and he warns them about what the army, about what the enemy is trying to do. So the soldiers there, they respect him even today. They built a temple for him and they offer prasadam to him daily basis. Okay, he's almost like a god to them. He died a long time ago in a war. Okay, so that's the only soldier story that I heard who became a ghost, but to continue the fight. Okay, not for anything else, not for his property, not for his family, nothing else. Even after losing his life, he wanted to continue fighting for our country. So he continues as a ghost. He continues fighting as a ghost. Okay. Then, I mean, to end this, there is a funny story of a yogi. I just wanted to end this discussion with that. You must have heard about a yogi by the name of Neem Karoli Baba. Okay, a very interesting yogi. Okay, I mean, he was also like Swamiji, laughing all the time, making his devotees laugh all the time. And the other similarity was he made his devotees do bhajan 24 hours a day. Okay, the guys were not allowed to stop, it seems. Early in the morning, get up, have a bath, okay, and start the bhajan. And then you stop the bhajan only for breakfast, have your bhajan, come back and continue the bhajan. Have breakfast, continue bhajan. Have lunch, continue bhajan. Okay. So until dinner time, you keep on doing the bhajan and have your dinner and go to sleep. Okay. And this yogi also used to travel like Swamiji. And see how simple they are, right? I mean, their dress, the way they deal with devotees, the way they sleep, their rooms, their furniture, so simple, right? This yogi was also like that. Then the story is that on one of his travels, Neem Karoli Baba had gone to a village where his devotees were there, and the devotees had organized for him to stay at a house. And then they had a program, and he gave darshan and all that. Everything was over. And at night, everybody went to sleep. The yogi also went to sleep. Everybody, his devotees, the host, the local devotees, the devotees who were traveling with him, everybody went to sleep late at night. It seems suddenly at midnight, this yogi woke up. And then he started shouting. He started waking up the devotees, who then woke up the hosts. Then he said, I am hungry. I want something to eat. Dead of night, okay, middle of the night, the yogi gets up, wakes up, and says, I am hungry. I want something to eat. Then the ladies got up and then they were trying to get some food ready to feed him, okay. Then he said, no, I want puran poli. See, just imagine it. The dead of the night, this yogi who has come to this village as a guest, he wakes up at night and then he says he is hungry. Okay, he could have been given some food, right? Some roti, puri, chapati, whatever they can manage, or maybe rice. No, but he says, I want puran poli. ಒಬ್ಬಟ್ಟು ಅಂತೀವಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೊಬ್ಬట్లు ಅಂಟಾಂ ಕదండి తెలుగులో అదే కావాలని పట్టుకున్నాడంట. He insisted that he has to be fed puran polis. Now just imagine the amount of work that is involved, okay? The dal has to be soaked. The dal has to be cooked for the puran, what goes inside. Then the atta has to be prepared, kneaded, and once the dal is cooked, add the jaggery to that, and then make the puran polis. And all this has to be done at midnight, okay, when everybody in the village also would have gone to sleep. We don't know whether the dal is available in the house, whether jaggery is available, ghee is available, atta is available, nothing is known. This yogi demands, I want puran poli now. So somehow all the ladies got up, the devotees got up, they started running around, they collected all the material. Then they spent some time, they prepared the puran poli, and then they brought the puran polis and offered to the yogi, it seems. So he took probably one or maybe two puran polis, and he said, now I am happy, I am satisfied. And then he went back to sleep. And everybody was, what happened to this yogi? Why did he behave in such a very funny manner, A strange manner. He gets up at dead of night. He says he is hungry. Okay, we could have fed him something. He insists on puran poli. And then he has the puran poli and happily goes back to sleep. No other trouble, nothing else. So they all went to sleep. Early in the morning, there was a knock on the door. See, these guys were all tired, right? Because they were there to get up early in the dead of the night and work for so long. They went to sleep. Early in the morning, there was a knock on the door, it seems. So somebody opened the door. So a devotee from the neighboring village, a little far away, that devotee had come to this house because he knew that the yogi, Neem Karoli Baba, was living here, staying here in this house. And he said, I have to talk to the yogi. I have come with some bad news. I have to inform him. Then they woke up the yogi. Such and such a devotee from the neighboring village, he has come here and he wants to see you. There is some bad news he wants to convey to you. Okay. Ask him to come inside. So this fellow came in and he said, he did his pranam to the yogi and he said, what is it? Why did you come early in the morning? He said, so and so devotee has passed away. So I came running here. I mean, he was a very close devotee of the yogi, and he passed away last night. So we wanted to inform you. That's why I came rushing to inform you. It seems then Neem Karoli Baba told all the other devotees around him, do you understand now? Do you understand why I woke you up at the dead of the night and asked you to make puran poli? I knew that this devotee has died. And you know what happened? Immediately after dying, he comes to me. The devotee came to the yogi and asked for puran poli, it seems. So that devotee had a desire to eat puran poli, but he could not fulfill that desire. So he came to his guru and asked for puran poli at the dead of the night. So then Neem Karoli Baba explained to the other devotees, had I not fed him the puran polis last night, he would have become a ghost. Because he had a desire to eat puran polis. Okay? So I had to wake you all up. I had to put you through the trouble of making the puran poli. And then you served me the puran polis. I had the puran polis and went to sleep. So that guy was satisfied. Okay? Now do you understand why we try to make food that is favorite to people who have passed away? Our ancestors, our parents, grandparents. Once a year, we try to prepare food that they like very much and then we offer it to them. Okay, so this is the reason. So this is untimely death. Okay, it can happen due to such a minuscule reason. Just a desire to have some food, some specific food. and the devotee became a ghost. Because he was a devotee of a yogi like Neem Karoli Baba, he was saved from the life of a ghost. Okay, so this is what I wanted to discuss about Akala Mrityu. Any other questions, Pawan, at this stage?
And now one question on this. See,
Yeah,
people die of accident or murder, but
yeah.
it is not their mistake, right? They didn't do anything wrong. So why should they become ghost and all and go through suffering and all that? It is suppose I die in accident. Is it that my mistake? Is or is it that because I would have done something bad karma, so I was forced to go through akal mrityu? What I mean, I don't understand why we should suffer if we die of accident or somebody murders us.
No, I think, I mean, I don't have a proper answer to that, Ma. Okay, now you are going through a bad time, a dangerous time, and as I said, even astrology cannot predict whether you are going to survive that bad phase of time or you're going to succumb, right? I mean, you in the sense, any person, right? So, I mean, I think it will be wrong on our part to assume that because of a fault, because of the person's fault, he has to spend time as a ghost. Okay, I think earlier also in one of the sessions, I explained to you how even amongst ghosts, there are good ghosts and bad ghosts also. Okay, it's not that every ghost is bad or every ghost has a very bad life, or ghosts are not spiritual. Okay, there are also very spiritual ghosts. There are ghosts who continue their spiritual sadhana even as a ghost. Okay, you remember I told you the example of Tulsidas and the ghost who gave the darshan of Lord Sri Ram to Tulsidas. Now, do you remember that story? I just want to mention that Tulsidas was also one of the prior incarnations of our Swamiji. Okay. Now, as we know, Tulsidas is the author of Ramacharitmanas. Okay, so I think that was the first time the Ramayana was written in a language that is a popular language. That is, the common Indian would speak and understand that language, read and understand the language, which is Hindi. I mean, locally probably that was called by a different name, but basically it is Hindi and not Sanskrit. So it is the spoken Hindi in which Tulsidas translated into which he translated the Ramayana. So the common man can read Ramayana and understand Ramayana and enjoy it because it's written in the form of a song. Okay. So Ramcharitmanas is extremely famous in North India and a lot of people read it. It's considered a very sacred book. Okay. And a lot of people even worship Ramcharitmanas. Even a lot of gurus worship Ramcharitmanas. Okay. Now, so we are talking about Tulsi Das, who translated Ramayana and then who wrote Ramcharitmanas. Okay, as he was writing the Ramcharitmanas, it must have taken him years to write that. The local villagers, the people from his village and the surrounding villages, it seems they used to come to him when they had free time, probably in the evenings. So, I mean, in those days when there was no electric power, people would have an early dinner. And after dinner, they spend some time discussing God, discussing spiritual matters, and things like this. Okay. So they all would gather at Tulsidas' home and request him to sing a few of the duets that he has written that day, or some of them, so they can listen to them and understand about Ramayana, learn Ramayana, and enjoy the devotion that Tulsidas used to express. Right? So a number of people used to gather every evening at Tulsidas' home, and he also made it a practice to recite whatever he himself has written. He would read that or sing that and explain that to devotees. So this went on for a few years. Then it seems one morning He had worshipped the idols that he had, probably Sri Ram, Lakshman, Mata Sita Devi, and Hanuman. I don't know. I'm just guessing, right? So he would worship them. He would do the abhishekam to them, and the water that comes from the puja after washing all of that, right? He used to take that and pour it into a at the foot of a banyan tree in front of his house. This was his practice. Every morning he would go and put the water there, pour the water there, wastewater, right? After bathing the idols and after doing his puja, all the water that comes from the puja, he would just pour it there. So that morning again he went with the water and then he was pouring it at the root of the tree. Suddenly a ghost came down from the tree and did pranam to Tulsidas and said, Swami, because of you, I had earned so much punya. Listening to the Ramayana that you recite every day, I have earned so much punya, and because of the punya, the time that I have to spend in this phase as a ghost, that has now reduced, and I am getting moksha very soon. Okay? So I would like to thank you. I express my gratitude to you. And I also want to thank you for the water that you pour at the tree every morning. I used to drink that water. So from that sacred water also, I got the punya. Okay, so thank you for all this. But then please let me do some favor to you. Please let me know if you have a desire in mind, and if it is within my power, my ability to fulfill your desire, I will try. So please express what is the desire you have in mind. So Tulsidas was very happy that a ghost is being redeemed. And then he said, desire in mind. I mean, I have only one desire in mind in this lifetime, and that is to have the darshan of Lord Rama. I don't have any other desire. So if you can tell me a method, a way, somehow, if I can obtain the darshan of Lord Rama, I'll be so happy. And I don't have any other desire. Then the ghost said, oh, that is really wonderful. And if you want this desire to be fulfilled, why do you ask me? You can ask Hanuman, who is coming to your program every evening. Then Tulsidas got surprised. You mean Lord Hanuman is coming to my program every evening? The ghost said, yes. No, but I don't know about it. He said, how? I mean, how could you not recognize Hanuman? But Tulsidas said, no, I mean, I see all the people who come here every evening, but I don't know that Lord Hanuman is coming here and listening to my songs, my poems. And he was so happy, so delighted. He said, please, show me who that Hanuman is. And I'll fall at his feet, I'll catch him, I'll pray to him to somehow get me Lord Ram's darshan. That's the only desire in my life. Then the ghost told him, okay, it's very easy. Try to notice from this evening itself. There is a devotee who comes before everybody else comes. Okay? And then he cleans up the room and he does everything else. And then he is the last one to leave. After every devotee leaves, then again he sets things up properly and then he leaves. That is Hanuman. Okay? He is now as a normal human being. Okay? That is the reason you are not recognizing him. But being a ghost, I know that he is Hanuman. Okay? So please catch hold of him and he can definitely get you Lord Sri Ram's darshan. So that evening, Tulsidas was keenly watching to find out who is the devotee who comes first before everybody else comes, and who is the one who stays on until the end, until everybody else leaves. And it was easy to find out, okay? Then at the end of the program, he runs to that devotee and falls at his feet and then says, I know that you are Lord Hanuman. Please bless me. Please somehow show me a path, show me a way of getting the darshan of Lord Sri Ram. Okay? Then Lord Hanuman blesses him and then he expresses his pleasure and the way all that he enjoyed. The songs of Rama, Ramcharitmanas. And then he says, okay, I will get you the darshan of Lord Sri Ram. And then I don't know exactly how it happened. If any of you know, then you can share it with me. But it seems Lord Hanuman made sure that Tulsidas had the darshan of both Lord Sri Rama and Lakshmana. Okay? So, I mean, I narrate this story to explain to people that not all ghosts are bad. Okay? There are ghosts. See, like amongst people, right? Among the living human beings also, there are a few very cruel people. And there will be very good people also, right? There are saints as well as sinners amongst people who are living. In the same way, amongst ghosts also, there are very good ghosts and there are bad ghosts who try to hurt people and enjoy hurting people like that, right? So I narrate this story to explain that.